JJ the CPA here. This just in, the Internal Revenue Service has doubled down on its stance related to PPP forgiveness leading to a tax adjustment in that you cannot deduct the expenses that you receive from the PPP loan that then later is forgiven. And the double down is that literally tonight, the IRS has indicated that that adjustment will be in 2020. 2020. So right now, you go to irs.gov and you will not find this. This is how fresh it is. So thanks for tuning in. If you're not a subscriber, here's why you want to subscribe. I'm a certified public accountant advising clients, and you are able to listen in, if you will, to the advice that I'm providing to my clients. So I'm shooting this video, and then I'm going to be sending an email out all to my clients right now. It's almost 10 o'clock Central Daylight Time here, November 18th. Revenue Ruling 2020-27. I'll put a link in the body of this video to it. Take note, for those of you that aren't always dealing with tax, there's IRS notices, there's revenue procedures, and there's revenue rulings. So this is a revenue ruling the IRS just came out with, 2020-27, which is a follow-up to IRS Notice 2020-32 that they released many, many months ago, talking about this issue of how does PPP forgiveness work when it comes to reporting it, if you will, on your tax return. So I've got a number of videos on this. The first thing to note, the few videos that I've put out there where I indicated possibly we could do it in 2021. That would be the year of forgiveness. Maybe we could do it in 2020 because we didn't have this information from the IRS. Let me be clear, the IRS has made it absolutely, unequivocally clear that you will make that adjustment in 2020. So on those videos, I've updated the thumb, also the description, and also the body of those videos, putting you to this video. It's like there's just two that are out there where I talk about could you, maybe. So know this, in the revenue ruling that the IRS put together that came out, that I'm talking about here, they provided two examples. That's why it's unequivocally clear. One of the examples they provided was somebody that applied for forgiveness in 2020, but got forgiveness next year. And the IRS indicated that regardless, they will make that adjustment in 2020 for the PPP forgiveness amount. They went on to specifically indicate that if you have someone that does not apply for forgiveness in 2020, they apply for forgiveness in 2021 and receive forgiveness in 2021, no matter what, they're still going to have that tax adjustment in 2020. Now, you've seen in my videos, if you've been watching, which I appreciate, I've indicated that the one caveat I wondered about is if you applied for forgiveness in 2021 and if you got the forgiveness calculation or SBA approval of the forgiveness in 2021, would it give us the option? Now, in the videos I've released, I've said my hunch is the IRS is going to require us to make the adjustment in 2020. But up until right now, the IRS Notice 2020-32 that we've had for months indicated in it that the forgiveness would occur in the year that the forgiveness was determined. But as I had indicated in the other videos, the IRS at that time thought that PPP had to be used within 8 weeks. It was after that IRS notice that the PPP Flexibility Act came out, allowing us to have 24 weeks, allowing us to have up until December 31st, 2020, in the sense of making it impossible for some to even put in an application for forgiveness this year. So if you are unsure what I'm talking about here on the PPP adjustment, I'm going to put a link in the body of this to a playlist that I have updated. And in that playlist, it will discuss for the self-employed, for the employer, for the self-employed that also has employees, how this tax issue works. But in a nutshell, it's this. Whatever your PPP forgiveness amount is, it will increase your net taxable income by that amount. This notice that we read back before on 2020-32, the IRS said, we understand the CARES Act indicates that it's not income. The revenue ruling that came out just here hours ago, 2020-27, also addresses that and in more detail with court cases, citing the Supreme Court rulings. They bring in several examples that are out of these other court cases that, in essence, the IRS is, as I said in the beginning, doubling down that you will not be able to deduct the expenses that was paid with PPP money that is then later forgiven. So when I read through, and again, I have a link to this new revenue ruling in the body of this video. When I read through it, it seems there is zero gray here that you will make the adjustment in 2020. Even if you don't know at the end of the year, for whatever reason, what your forgiveness amount is going to be, the IRS indicates that there are readily available guidelines, there's readily available information from the SBA, procedures to determine what your forgiveness amount should be. So the IRS is basically saying, we are not going to let you use as an excuse that you just simply didn't know by the end of the year what your forgiveness amount is. Another way to look at that, if you know about tax estimated tax payments that are due, which is January 15th, the IRS, not specifically stating in the revenue ruling of 2020-27 that just came out, but basically is giving us enough time to figure out what that PPP forgiveness amount would be. If there are those that have a covered period that runs right up to December 31st, the due date for fourth quarter estimated tax payments for 2020 is January 15th. So there still is time, the IRS is alluding to be able to make a reasonable determination of what the forgiveness amount will be, to therefore know what the adjustment should be for 2020. Now, most of us are not filing returns until probably March for businesses, April for individuals, of course, if we have extensions. So the IRS is also aware that there's still additional time to make these determinations. So it being now November 18th, technically we've got a couple of months before January 15th when fourth quarter's due. Let me tell you this though, and if you've made it to here and you're not a subscriber, let me tell you this, why this should cause you to immediately subscribe and turn on your notifications. And for you, those of you that are already subscribed, I love you and I appreciate it, but you don't have your notifications turned on, turn them on. This is exactly why. But here's the thing. Before one PPP loan was made, I was already telling my clients and telling you that you would not be able to deduct these expenses and that it would be an adjustment in 2020. That has been held true. I didn't want it to be the answer, but it is the actual answer. So when the IRS Notice 2020-32 came out and indicated that you weren't going to be able to deduct these expenses while everybody else, including some of my CPA friends, were surprised by it, I said, well, I've known this all along. When I'm talking with my clients, we already were taking it into account. We were already assuming it to be in 2020. I did a video recently and I said, you better make sure that with your year-end planning, you're taking this adjustment into account. The IRS today has come out, again, Revenue Ruling 2020-27, and has said, we don't care when you apply We don't care when the forgiveness is determined by the SBA. You will make the adjustment in 2020 because that's the year that these expenses were paid. This is the year that the PPP was received. So am I tooting my own horn? Maybe, but more what I'm trying to point out to you is unlike other channels. So spread the word. Let your friends know. There's a difference with this channel, and I'm being dead serious here in that I'm a practicing CPA. I've got 28 years of experience, and when I'm dissecting the law, whether it's a notice or a revenue ruling or revenue procedure, the Internal Revenue Code, etc., it's based on having all of this experience to then know in a full picture how we should plan for it. So for those of you that have been subscribed for a long time, thank you. I would believe that you already knew there was going to be a tax adjustment to this. The big question has been, well, could it be in 2020 or in 2021? Again, I have said, hey, let's wait to put in PPP forgiveness applications because if the IRS is silent on this, or if the IRS later comes out and clarifies to us, there could be pure speculation, as I indicated in these previous couple of videos. Pure speculation was if you put in application in 2021 and then got forgiveness in 2021, that might be the one way that you would have the year to choose between 2020 and 2021. So I'll reiterate, they address that specifically in this revenue ruling. So maybe the IRS was watching my videos. I'm just having a little fun, maybe. But nonetheless, they've addressed it in that they give the example, whether you apply in 2020 or you apply in 2021, the adjustment will be in 2020. It makes sense to me because what I've been saying from the beginning is that it is the year 2020 that we got PPP. It is the year 2020 when we had to spend the money or when those expenses were paid to achieve PPP forgiveness. So here's the thing. The biggest question, and I'll put another video out related to this, which is, well, then should we apply now? Should we apply now for PPP forgiveness? Given that we know the adjustment is going to be in 2020. So I'm going to put a link to that video in the body of this video, but I will tell you this right now. If you are watching this and you don't see the link yet, it's because I haven't shot that video just yet, and that means you're getting it fresh. So come back to this video, come back to the body of this video because I'm going to record it next and pop it up. It'll be very close right after this, but I will put 5 stars. I'll make a note here. I'll put 5 stars so you know it's the link to the new video talking about should we apply for forgiveness now. What's clear is the adjustment for taxes will be in 2020. Again, I'll put a link to the playlist as well that I talk about the tax adjustment for the self-employed with employees, and the employer, covering the S Corp, the C Corp, partnerships, Schedule C, Schedule F. I'm not surprised that this is what the IRS is doing, as I've indicated. I wish that we could have had the choice because I think there's going to be a number of people that either don't have a tax advisor that's communicating with them, don't have a tax advisor that does this all the time, therefore they're not even aware of it, meaning their tax advisor's not even aware of it, and or they're just not paying attention in any way, shape, or form, and they're going to get slapped up with this adjustment come tax time. And so I was hoping the IRS would allow there to be one or other year to decide, because it may give somebody more time to actually then go, shoot, I got to make this adjustment. I got to come up with this tax. But the IRS has doubled down. Not only is it very clear, again, in case law put into this revenue ruling that you cannot deduct the expenses that are then later forgiven related to PPP but the adjustment for tax purposes has to be in 2020. So get sharpening your pencils. If your tax advisor hasn't talked to you about this, forward this video to them. Ask them if they're aware, and regardless, you need to make sure that your year-end planning takes into account this adjustment. I'll also be doing a video specifically to the self-employed to remind the self-employed how this affects them with PPP forgiveness. So I'll release 2 more videos tonight, and I'll put a bunch of dollar signs next to that one. I'll put $5 signs next to that one for the self-employed, and the stars will be should you file now. You know, for those of you that have been watching videos from the early on, this feels like that. When new things would come out and I would pop out videos late at night. We're back in that era. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe, and then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. Check out these other videos coming.